I never imagined that the happiest day of my son's life would become the day he erased me from it, but I remember every second of that morning like a wound that never fully healed, the kind of memory that still shakes your voice years later, because when you raise a child alone, when you sacrifice everything for him, you believe there's no universe in which he grows up to pretend you don't exist, yet that's exactly what happened the day my son, Ethan, threw me out of his wedding. His bride, Vanessa, didn't want a poor-looking mother ruining her perfect photos, and even now, I can feel the cold marble floor under my shaking hands as I knelt and picked up the corsage I had spent all night making, tiny white roses trembling between my fingers, not knowing that only hours later I would become the most talked-about woman at that wedding, not because I was honored, but because I was thrown out like trash, and because that was the moment I decided silence was no longer the language of mothers who have been humiliated. Love has a limit, and mine shattered that day. I showed up early, like mothers do, holding a garment bag that contained the suit I tailored for him when he couldn't afford anything nice in high school, back when we shared cereal and cold pizza dinners and I worked 2 jobs pretending I wasn't hungry so he could eat. Back then, our apartment was small and cramped, with peeling wallpaper and a single dim lamp in the corner that flickered whenever the heater kicked in. But those nights were filled with laughter, whispered secrets, and stories of the future we dreamed together. I remembered the night I sewed a patch onto his favorite hoodie by candlelight because the power had gone out, and he had hugged me with such joy that I thought my heart might burst. Those memories felt like armor now, yet also like a knife, because the boy I had raised with such devotion had become a stranger. The moment I stepped into the venue, a luxury seaside resort dripping with glittering chandeliers and fresh orchids, I could already feel eyes on me, not because I looked bad, but because I didn't fit their world of perfection, where money mattered more than people and appearances were everything. I wore a soft blue dress, simple but elegant, nothing expensive but ironed with love, and I had curled my hair like I used to for his school recitals, thinking maybe he'd hug me like he always did back then, before her, before Vanessa, whose name alone became a wall between us the moment Ethan brought her into our lives. The first time she met me, she looked me up and down like someone calculating my worth and found it embarrassingly low. I had tried to be polite, tried to smile, to offer a warm greeting. "Hello, Vanessa," I had said, holding out my hand. But she looked past it, eyes sharp, lips curling ever so slightly in disdain. "Oh, so you're the mother," she had said, almost dismissively, as if my very presence was a problem to be tolerated. I ignored it because love makes you blind to warnings, and I hoped she'd soften once she felt the warmth of our family. Yet, instead, she became a barrier, a weapon, isolating Ethan from friends, manipulating him emotionally, convincing him that without her he was nothing. Every time wedding planning came up, I heard less and less from him. "Too busy with work," he said. "We'll talk later. Vanessa's mom is handling everything." I swallowed it all, believing sometimes mothers must step back, but stepping back is different from being erased. I remember nights sitting in my apartment, the glow of the city lights bleeding through the window, holding my phone and wondering why my son, who used to tell me every little detail of his day, no longer called. My chest ached in a way I could hardly describe, like my heart had been stretched too thin, and yet I told myself, love is patient, love endures. But patience is not infinite, and endurance has its breaking point. I could feel it the moment I stood in that lobby while guests walked past me in gowns that cost more than my monthly paycheck. I told myself not to shrink, not to apologize for existing, because I wasn't ashamed of being a mother who sacrificed everything. I had faced financial ruin, sleepless nights, illness, loneliness, all so he could have a chance at life, and yet here, in a room full of strangers and judgmental glances, I felt the weight of being deemed unworthy. Then I saw him, my son, adjusting his tie across the hall, and for a fleeting heartbeat, he was 5 again, holding my hand on his first day of kindergarten. "Baby," I whispered without meaning to. His eyes flickered with hesitation, but Vanessa slid her hand onto his arm with a perfect plastic smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Oh, your mother is here," she said, and Ethan, avoiding the weight of the moment, cleared his throat. "Yeah, she's early." The discomfort in his expression stung more than a slap. I stepped forward, holding the corsage, and whispered, "I made this for you." Vanessa didn't even glance at it. Leaning closer to him, she whispered loudly, "We already ordered flowers. We don't need something handmade." For a heartbeat, I felt as though love itself had been dismissed as dirt. Ethan looked between us, and instead of defending me, he murmured, "Mom, maybe you could just wait outside for a bit." Something inside me cracked. My voice trembled. "Outside, Ethan, the ceremony starts in Vanessa cut me off with cold precision, weaponizing politeness. No offense, but the photographer has a specific aesthetic, and your dress doesn't really match the theme. Then her mother appeared, dripping in diamonds, offering the solution like I was a problem to be moved. Seat her in the back, or maybe the staff room. Suddenly, I was a ghost, invisible, a woman erased for the crime of existing. The wedding coordinator approached awkwardly, clipboard in hand, confirming the finality of it all. There isn't a seat reserved for the groom's mother anymore. Vanessa's voice snapped, you should leave before you ruin the photos. I could feel 30 years of sacrifice vanish in the echo of that sentence. All I could do was kneel on the cold marble to pick up the fallen corsage, my fingers numb, guests stepping around me like I was air. That was the moment something inside me stopped breaking and started hardening, because mothers don't stay broken forever. I stood slowly, brushed the dirt off my dress, and said with calm fury, I carried you. I fed you. I worked myself sick so you could stand here today. And now you're choosing humiliation over love. I hope she's worth it. I walked out, not defeated, but because I chose myself for the first time in years. Sometimes leaving is the strongest statement a mother can make. While I was healing, Ethan's world began to crack in ways he never imagined. Vanessa escalated in ways he had never seen, isolating him, manipulating him emotionally, convincing him that without her he was nothing. When he wanted to visit me on Mother's Day, she cried, why do you care about that woman? I'm your family now, and he stayed home, again, blind to the truth that life has a cruelly poetic sense of timing. Hidden truths always appear when least expected. Ethan's first crack came one night when he grabbed her phone to check the time and saw a text, had fun last night, same time next week. His face went pale, heart pounding, world tilting. When he confronted her, she laughed. Relax, it's just a friend. But doubt gnawed at him, late night messages, weekend, work trips, unfamiliar. Lipstick, a scent not his cologne, until one day he overheard her whisper, he's just a transition, once the condo paperwork is final, I'm done. His world collapsed because the woman he defended, the woman he threw me away for, was using him. Meanwhile, my life, the life he never asked about, was blooming. After years of scraping by, I finally breathed, working extra shifts, saving money, enrolling in night classes, earning a certificate, getting promoted, buying small luxuries, redecorating my apartment, traveling, taking care of me the way I always took care of him. While I rose, Ethan's world crumbled. Foreclosure notices, drained bank accounts, maxed credit cards. When he finally appeared at my door, soaked, trembling, a man stripped of ego and status, I saw the little boy who once begged me not to leave. Mom, he whispered, and the years of pain, abandonment, and heartbreak came rushing back. Motherhood doesn't calculate, it chooses. I said softly, come inside. He stepped in, dripping wet. I gave him a towel, dry clothes, tea, a silent presence until he spoke, voice broken. Vanessa left me. She cheated, drained everything. I have nothing. I looked at him calmly. Do you know when I had nothing? He stared, guilty. I said, when you threw me out of your wedding. Tears fell from both our eyes. I don't deserve your forgiveness, he gasped. You're right, I whispered, you don't. But healing isn't about deserving. It's about choosing. That night, he slept on my couch. In the morning, he made breakfast, imperfect pancakes, burnt edges, but love in every movement. Months passed. Ethan rebuilt slowly, humbly, understanding that love isn't grand displays or social approval, but consistency, presence, respect. 6 months later, he invited me to a company event, honoring mothers. Backstage, nervous, he said, I want to tell everyone about the strongest woman I know. On stage, he admitted, my mother sacrificed everything. I repaid her with betrayal. I threw her out of my wedding because someone convinced me she wasn't good enough. I was wrong. I lost everything before I understood what real love looks like. I cried silently, proud, heart swelling. Later, he rebuilt, volunteered, apologized, and loved correctly, humbly, without ego, meeting Rachel, kind and genuine, inviting me fully into their lives. One evening, he asked me to walk him down the aisle for their wedding, an intimate, modest ceremony full of warmth, laughter, and sincerity, no glittering chandeliers, no pretension, just love that mattered. As we walked together, he whispered, Mom, this feels right. I realized every tear, every abandonment, every night of loneliness had been necessary to reach this peace. Rachel looked at me. Thank you for raising the kind of man who knows how to love. In that quiet, perfect moment, I understood that mothers don't reclaim children through force or anger. Sometimes, children only return when they lose everything, when they see the truth of what they threw away. Some stories don't end with revenge. Some don't end with happily ever after. Some, like ours, end with growth, strength, and unshakable peace. Losing him once taught him humility. Losing him to me taught me strength. Watching him vow to love Rachel rightly, I realized the most powerful victories are invisible. They are the peace we build, the lives we reclaim, and the love that survives even when betrayed, abandoned, and underestimated, proving that the greatest closure is not in punishing those who wronged us, but in choosing ourselves and giving those who hurt us the chance to finally understand the true weight of love and the cost of throwing away the person who gave them everything.